Have you ever stopped to think about how an ancient statue of a dancing god could have anything to do with modern particle physics? Or, get this, how a single, mysterious line in the Bible could spark an entire theory that says humans were created by aliens? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today, this incredible, continuous human quest to look back at ancient stories and find meaning for us right here, right now. So here's the game plan. We're going to start with the beautiful cosmic dance of a Hindu god. Then, we'll see how that ancient idea suddenly became the perfect metaphor for modern physics. And then, we're going to flip the script completely and look at a radical theory that says, hey, what if these myths aren't metaphors at all? What if they're literal history with extraterrestrials? It's going to be a fascinating ride.
All right, let's start with one of the most powerful and, honestly, one of the most beautiful symbols in all of Hindu art, Nataraja. This is Shiva, but not just any Shiva. This is Shiva as the Lord of the Dance. And believe me, this isn't just a pretty picture. It's an entire cosmic story, frozen in a single moment.
So what are we actually looking at? Well, the name itself, Nataraja, literally means Lord of the Dance. It tells you everything. This is a snapshot of Shiva in the middle of his divine dance, the Tandava. And this isn't just any dance. It's the dance that creates, sustains, and eventually dissolves the entire universe. It's the whole cosmic cycle in one motion. And this is where it gets so cool. Every single piece of this statue tells a story. You see that ring of fire all around him? That's the universe, the whole cosmic cycle of creation and destruction. The little drum in his upper right hand? That's beating out the rhythm of time, the pulse of creation itself. The fire in his other hand? That's the power to destroy, sure, but it's also the fire of transformation. He holds up another hand in a gesture that says, don't be afraid. And my favorite part, he's calmly standing on a small dwarf who represents ignorance. He's literally crushing ignorance underfoot while his uplifted leg shows the path to freedom. It's just brilliant.
So for thousands of years, this was a deeply spiritual idea, right? A beautiful piece of religious symbolism. But then, in the 20th century, something totally unexpected happened. This ancient dance found a brand new partner in the world of subatomic physics.
And the guy who made this connection was a physicist named Fritjof Capra. Back in 1975, he wrote this groundbreaking book, The Tao of Physics. And in it, he basically said, you know this ancient idea of Shiva's cosmic dance? It's a surprisingly perfect way to describe what we're now discovering about the universe at the tiniest, most fundamental level.
And this wasn't just some fringe idea in a book. It resonated so deeply that in 2004, the government of India actually gifted a giant 2-meter-tall statue of Nataraja to CERN. Yeah, that CERN, the home of the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland. It stands there today, right at the heart of modern particle physics, with a plaque quoting Capra. It's this incredible bridge between ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science. So let's just break that down, because this is the key. On one hand, you have this ancient philosophy that says the world we see is just a dance of changing temporary forms. On the other hand, you have quantum physics telling us that subatomic particles aren't little solid balls at all. They're just fleeting pulses of energy, constantly being created and destroyed. It's an energy dance. It's kind of the same idea, isn't it? Just described with two totally different languages? Okay, so that's one way to look at it. It's beautiful, it's poetic, it connects everything. But what if we've been reading these ancient stories all wrong? What if they're not metaphors? What if there's something much, much more literal?
And this is where we meet a really controversial author named Zecharia Sitchin. He looked at all these ancient myths and texts and basically said, you're all missing the point. He was convinced that these weren't just symbolic tales. Nope, he argued they were historical records.
Now, Sitchin's claim to fame was that he could read ancient languages like Sumerian and Akkadian and Hebrew, and he used this skill to propose a totally new interpretation of these ancient texts. His whole thing started with a book in 1976 called The 12th Planet, and it all kicked off with one very strange passage from a very famous book.
This is it. Genesis, chapter 6. It talks about the sons of God coming down and having children with the daughters of men, and about these giants called the Nephilim walking the earth. Now, for centuries, people have read this as allegory or myth, but Sitchin looked at this and asked a simple question. What if it's not a story? What if it's a report? And that one question led him down a rabbit hole that resulted in a complete alternative history of all humanity. Okay, so let's get into the heart of his theory, which he called the Earth Chronicles. And just buckle up, because this is a wild ride that completely changes everything we think we know about where we come from. So here's Sitchin's story.
He says there's a 12th planet in our solar system called Nibiru that's on this huge 3,600-year-long orbit. About 450,000 years ago, its inhabitants, a race called the Anunnaki, came to Earth. Why? To mine for gold, which they needed to repair their own planet's atmosphere. But mining is hard work, so to get a labor force, they took early hominids that were already here and genetically engineered them, creating us, Homo sapiens. And that great flood from the Bible? Sitchin claimed that was caused by Nibiru's gravity during a close flyby. It sounds like science fiction, but he presented it all as meticulously researched fact.
And at the absolute center of this epic saga are the Anunnaki. Sitchin claimed these were the real figures behind the sons of God in Genesis and the powerful gods in Sumerian myths. They weren't divine beings. They were flesh and blood visitors from another world who were our creators and, in some cases, our ancestors.
So let's just pause here for a second. We have two incredibly powerful, totally different modern takes on ancient stories. One gives us this unifying, beautiful metaphor for the entire cosmos. The other gives us a literal history of alien engineers. But what's fascinating is that both are doing the exact same thing, looking to the past to figure out the present.
This chart really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, with Nataraja and physics, you take Hindu art and scriptures, you read them metaphorically, and you get this amazing, unifying idea about cosmic reality. On the right, with Sitchin, you take Sumerian myths and Genesis, you read them as literal history, and you get an alternate history of alien creators. It's the same fundamental quest, but with two completely different toolkits leading to two radically different answers about our place in the universe.
And that, really, is the biggest question of all, isn't it? When we dig through these ancient mysteries, are we learning more about what actually happened back then, or are we really just holding up a mirror to our own time? Whether we see a cosmic dance in a bronze statue or alien miners in a clay tablet, that search for meaning says so much about our own modern hopes, our fears, and that deep, unending human need to know who we are and where we came from.